Just going backwards again, just, because I think this is important, that Kennedy Street, the street, was near where you lived or worked?
Kennedy Street was the centre of town. There was a club called, I think, the Guys and Dolls.
Right.
And there were 4 partners. And they then opened an agency. And I was having a lot of success with Herman. Danny was having success with Freddie and the Dreamers and various other acts. And I watched him and I said, look, your partners do nothing. You have a meeting.
Because he had 4 partners or something.
4 partners. He had 20%, or 5 of them altogether. Yes, that's 20% each. And they used to meet once a month and probably go to the French at the Midland, have a meal, have a little chat, and then go down. And he did all the work, and it really got big. It was good. And I said, look, why do you I'll buy them out. And then we'll put all our resources together, which we did.
Right.
We bought them out. And then at that stage, we had 1, 2, and 3 in America in Billboard. Because we had, I think Mrs. Brown, Freddie and the Dreamers, and Wayne Fontana were 1, 2, and 3. And that's not bad for a Manchester firm that didn't go to London. So it was.
It's amazing.
As I say, everything turned to gold.
For people who don't know about the history of the music business in, and the North, Kennedy Street became the big thing.
There's so much talent in the North as well, so it was good. Every time we did a TV appearance, although originally Top of the Pops was in Manchester, then moved to London. And then you couldn't do anything, recording or anything. You had to go to London. There was that dreadful journey down there, it was just a pile. Yeah. We thought, well, we'll build our own studios and things like that. We did everything centrally around Manchester. I mean, I could have gone and lived in New York quite comfortably in 65. I mean, there's so many offers and so many people.
Yeah, no, of course.
But I was happy with my home life. I love my parents, and we had a great relationship. And it was a fun relationship because my father had difficulties. He was very successful when he got back from the war. He was very successful. Then they had rough times. And all his friends kind of disappeared, which really pissed me off. Yeah. And then I started to happen, and then they all sort of appeared again. It's sort of the fair weather friends, you know what I mean? As long as you're doing well, they want to be there.
Yeah, no, I get it. Kennedy Street in the 70s, 80s, 90s. I mean, I've even just looked at the website. I know it's different ownership. But it's, it was such a huge thing, all concert tours all over the North. And
I bought in 64 and I sold out in 96. But in the meantime, in 74, we sold half the company to the Grades.
Oh, right.
Because Leslie Grade wanted Danny and myself, 2 nice Jewish boys, to look after Michael, who was running London management.
Right.
And we were very happy because, great, we'll get all our acts on in the Talk of the Town, the Palladium, fantastic. It would be a fantastic symbiosis. But it didn't work out like that. First of all, Billy Marsh probably didn't like us. I don't really care, but, he was sort of, he probably, what the hell are they getting involved for? They tried to we were kind of kept down. And I loved Leslie Grade and just before I'm Not in Love came out, I phoned him and I said, look, we're not getting what we wanted out of your lot because they're not helping us. We had Neil Sedaka in the studio. We wanted to do Talk of the Town. We never got it. We wanted the Palladium. We never got it. I said, look, it's not working out. Can we buy ourselves back? And he says, yeah, same price. So we bought it back and then we owned it completely. But we had nothing but good things to say about Leslie Grade. He was fantastic. What a character he was. Yes, you could base your. He was
the lesser known, wasn't he? I mean, in the sense
he was the part. Trust me, that guy. I mean, he just knew how to deal with everything. I mean, he was the schmoozer. His best friend was Walter Winterbottom. He's a mad Arsenal fan, by the way. And so I, at the time, I said, Leslie, can I have tickets for the... Yes, I've got you 2 tickets for the cup final. So I go down there. I'm in the bloody restaurant, Morecambe and Wise on one side, this one and that one. Everybody, it was like a happening place. Wimbledon, yes, we've got tickets to go to Wimbledon. He had his fingers in every single pie. He was a genius.
Oh, right.
my favorite story about him, which is colossal. He and his brother, I think, went to see this act at the Palladium. And after the show, they went round backstage and said, God, it was fantastic. You must sign. We've got to sign it. And the guy said, I can't. So you've got to sign with us. What's the reason? He said, well, I'm already signed to you.
Good story. Yeah, we like that. Now tell me, what came first? Graham Gulman or Carol, your wife?
Oh, Graham, miles before. Yes, I mean, Graham, I was 1964, I got married. Well, having said that, I've got a photograph of Carol and myself on my 8th birthday party. So the families sort of knew each other. I went there.
Yes.
Carol was, I married in 1969.
Right.
And Graham had already had his first, up and down. He was in a kind of a middle stage at that stage, which was pre-10cc, and just with, he'd done a cast 9 months in America. And of course, he married Carol's sister.
But had he married her before you married Carol?
No, it was coincidental. We found out we were going out with at the same time.
And I mean, Graham Gulman is a very talented writer, and going back to the Hollies and all sorts of things. Can you sum that up? I mean,
yeah, he was a genius. It's a wonderful guitarist, very musical. His main love of life was his music, really.
Right.
I think Susan suffered as a result of that, but that's what happens. I mean, he really was into it. He was just very talented, and his father was a genius, which didn't hurt, and came up with some wonderful lyrics. And he was just a great songwriter.
What was the first things that he really had success with?
Well, the first song was For Your Love.
Right.
Well, I kind of got him out of another band. He was in a band called the Whirlwinds. And
right.
I don't know why, but I was at this place called the Jewish Lads Brigade, which was the equivalent of a YMCA.
Yeah.
And the Whirlwinds used to practice every week. And I still to this day don't know why I, who was an article clerk, nothing to do with the music business, was listening to them every Monday night and trying to get hold of their manager and maybe get involved with it. I used to go to Graham's house first of all, I asked Graham, I said, why don't you start writing songs? Because he was in a band and he'd had a few records and they hadn't happened. And I said, why don't you try writing yourself? Because even the B-sides weren't written by Graham. I think Lowell wrote one of the B-sides.
Right.
He was involved. It was a tightly knit thing, everybody lived near each other. It was almost like a ghetto. And going back to Graham again, he just was an amazing guitarist. I mean, in 10cc, I mean, Eric was regarded as the lead guitarist, but I mean, Graham could hold his own with anybody. He was a guitarist.
He was a multi-talented.
And he was at a horrible school, a comprehensive school, which was way down the line, and I don't think they helped at all. And then he was working in a shirt shop, and I managed to seduce him out of that when he agreed to join me when I'd had some success with Herman's Hermits and revisited him, put him on a wage, as I did with Kevin Lowell, with Bryce Weber, you name it. We gave everybody like 10 quid a week or 5 quid a week just to keep the wolves at bay. And he was like a brother. We were so close, it was ridiculous. So
what did he do for the Hollies?
First of all, he did Look Through Any Window, which was, he did Bus Stop, obviously, that was a great song. But the Look Through Any Window was the first, which he did with Charlie Silverman, who was my partner at the time with managing Herman's Hermits.
Right.
And then we managed Graham. And I said to Charlie, I didn't want our names on this writers. We're managing this writer. We're building him up. We're not building us.
You're not building ourselves,
so consequently, I didn't push myself at all as a songwriter. And without me knowing, he on the, Silverman, Gulman. And I said, what the hell's going on? And Jaime wrote the lyrics as well. So Jaime used to get paid, I think, from Charlie. Yes, Charlie used to pay Jaime so much, and there was like a three-way split.
Right.
And then it was awful when Jaime died. Charlie never paid Betty, the widow, anything. You never saw a penny after that.
Oh
Which was
dear.
awful. It was horrible. I mean, you know, it's not right, but anyhow.
But there we go.
There we
But
go.
I mean, Graham is, I mean, it has got quite a serious biography in terms of songwriting and playing in bands.
In the 60s, they went from For Your Love, Heart Full of Soul, I thought of the title of that, Evil Hearted You, Pamela. No, they did a lot of concerts, and they were very good concerts, 10cc. I mean, Graham's doing it today. I mean, the Graham band of today, in my opinion, is probably as good as any. Except, you know, Kevin Lowell were that 4-year period when the original 10cc had its magic. You know, that was a real fusion of two sides. You know, Graham and Eric and Kevin Lowell sort of editing each other and battling and getting their fusion and getting the most amazing records like Rubber Bullets, and you know, it's just incredible. They were brilliant. I mean, they could have been a lot bigger. And of course, then Eric had an accident, and that everything. There's lots of things that went wrong.
Right.
But as
when was that? When did
say, you know, it quite obviously, if that happened today, it wouldn't be so terrible for a member of a band to go off for a year and do an album, then go back into the band again. But in those days, that didn't happen.